So good afternoon, everyone. And today's Green Bag seminar series, we have eminent resource person from Indian Institute of Management, Professor Jishnu Hazra. He is an eminent scholar and professor in the area of productions and operations management and Airbus chair in supply chain management too. Professor has published in many reputed international journals of FT50, ABDC, Web of Science, and Scopus, and world-renowned journals. And Professor is a research interestor in supply chain management, lean operations and pricing in supply chain. And his papers have appeared in international journals, as I mentioned, in production and operations, computers, operations, research, European Journal of Operation Research. He did his mechanical engineering from IIT Delhi and industrial engineering MTech in IIT Mumbai, and his PhD in operations management, University of Rochester, New York, USA. He was also conferred with many awards. He was nominated as a member of Beta Gamma Sigma, an academic honor society in the United States, and he has received many teaching awards at PGP, at IIMB. He is also a consulting in the area of supply chain management, managing product variety and logistics. So with this brief introduction, Professor, I extend a warm welcome on behalf of all our my faculty colleagues, and also on behalf of our director, Dr. Vijay Dhanakumar sir. Okay. So we are very fortunate to have you, Professor, today in the seminar with your rich research experience and insights. So we should also gain from your experiences. As all our faculty members are all publishing in research and undertaking a lot of consultancy research projects. Mm-hmm. So as we are all aware, as an academicians, either publish or perish. We do agree with that. So we are working, we would like to have more insights on the research approach, what kind of research is essential for a business school, and how to take it further into the higher level and all. So I request you kindly start. I'm sure this is going to be an interactive sessions. Faculty members also free enough to interfere and ask any questions of their choice. So may I request, Professor, to you kindly enlighten us. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, Professor Vijay Kumar. First of all, thank you for inviting me. Actually, we had, as you said, we had an interaction about 18 months back here at IIM Bangalore, and with two of your colleagues, one of them being Ganesh Kumar, whom I can see here. I'm going to give basically sort of, I would say, my views about business school research based on my experience over the last decade and a half. And just a second, So essentially the role of research in business school is what I would be talking about. First of all, conducting research in an academic environment, especially in the business school, is not easy, especially if you're from India. To get into a top journal, it's actually incredibly difficult. And I'll tell you what actually IIM Bangalore is doing, and it's actually can be quite terrifying for young faculty members here at IIM Bangalore. Now, why is it difficult? First of all, there are 4 points which you can see in the screen. One is it novel? One of the things which many Indian academicians do, and by the way, when I say Indian academician, I'm going to refer only to business schools. I'm not talking about engineering schools or fine arts and humanities or economic schools. I'm actually just referring to the business school. So first and foremost is the idea has to be something novel. The older the idea is, more difficult it becomes. And I always tell PhD students that if somebody has worked on a specific idea for more than 10 years, don't touch it. A faculty member can still take a risk, because he or she actually has a job and doesn't have to worry. But a PhD student must not touch an idea which is 10, 15 years old. And I have enough anecdotes where a PhD student tackling a problem which is like 2.5 decades old, getting stuck, and eventually graduated after 7 or 8 years. This has happened frequently. So one of the things that you have to ask is, am I working on a field or in a context which is relatively new? And I'll explain that. Subsequently, I'll give an example of such a so-called quote unquote novel idea. The second point is a topic of current interest in the business world. So it's similar to the previous point, except that something that is interest in India may not have major interest in the external world. Yesterday, actually, I received a first round review of a paper with my colleague, and it's basically on something which is very, very specific to India. It's about the sugarcane industry. It got a reject in a very good journal. It got a reject, and there are multiple issues with the paper. But the last point the referee says is that if it is so important for India, go and publish in the Indian journal. I mean, it was quite a harsh statement, but so if you want to get into a top journals, and in India there are no Indian journals which would be rated as top in the business world. So if you want to have your paper published in a top journal, it should be of interest outside India as well. So when I worked on this paper this is actually on the sugarcane industry, and incidentally, what happens in India in the sugarcane in the sugar industry has global implications, because India is the largest or second largest producer of sugarcane, sugar and sugarcane. So we thought it was a good idea, but the referees felt otherwise. So last night, actually, we received it. It's a reject. They simply, they pointed out all the deficiencies with the paper, but the last line was quite revealing. It simply says, if it is of interest, this paper is of interest to the Indian public, so you should publish in the Indian journal. That's it. I mean, so it should have what you should be doing if you want to target a top journal is essentially it should have interest globally. Third point, and this is something where it's difficult to quantify it. What we call, does it offer new managerial insights? I might have done a work in some area which could be considered of current interest, but my findings are nothing new. There's nothing new about my finding. It's something, in a similar context or a different context, similar insights were found. And therefore, the paper will not get into this top journal. I'll give one example. There was, I don't know the details, but there was an FPM, a PhD student from IIMB Bangalore many years back, who was working on a topic called top CEO compensation. This is about compensation of CEOs. Actually, that work was done elsewhere in the US. And there are multiple such work. Okay. The only difference is that instead of looking at CEOs in the US, this particular person was looking at Indian CEOs compensation. And by and large, it did not give any new insights. New insights were more or less same. That paper, one could have predicted a priori that it will have a difficult time getting accepted in a good journal. Okay, so it has to have what is called a new managerial insight, something which others did not know. So if you tell me something that I already know, I'll say, what's the big deal? And so they're very tough. So they'll just reject the paper, they might say, yes, the idea is great, it's of current interest, but your insights are not good enough. So I have got many such rejects where they would say it's rigorous, it's of current interest, but I am not impressed with the insights that you are actually presenting. So it can get rejected there also on that front. And finally, which is very important, is that the analysis has to be rigorous. Most research problems, you make assumptions. And without assumption, it's very difficult to actually do any research. The point is, you have to make assumption which does not make the paper too simple. Simple in the sense that, you made so much assumption that people might say, look, if you violate those assumptions, your paper is no longer realistic. So it has to be very, very rigorous. And one of the things which we have succeeded over the last 10 years or so at IIM Bangalore is that to achieve rigorous paper, it may not satisfy the first three, but our students, we give actually, which I would call the best coursework currently available in the country. So that when they're actually working on a problem, they have all the tool set in their head. So your work should have, so you don't want a scenario where the editor, moment he or she gets the paper, rejects it by simply saying that there are issues with the analysis. It should go to the referees, right? So, and it can get rejected, what's called a desk reject, if your analysis is not rigorous. So one of the primary concern for many Indian researchers in the business school is that they do not have that tool set to do what's called quote unquote rigorous analysis. So, and the paper tends to get rejected at the desk, in the top journals. Okay, so I would say D out of 4. There might be others also, but this is what came to my head when I was preparing the slides. It should be novel, it should be current, relevant, and rigorous. What I'll do is, at the end of the presentation, I'll give you, today, by the way, I have to give a research seminar to the entire institute. I mean, if you go and see the website, IIMB website, you'll see that, that's mentioned there. So today at 5 p.m., I have to give a research seminar to the institute. So I'll just give you an idea later on about what the research is about and how it meets some of these parameters. So by the way, I just forgot to mention, please do interrupt and ask questions, or else it becomes a monologue. So while I was preparing the slides a few days back, I was just doing a search on Google to figure out what people are saying about research in Indian Business School. And I find there's, you see the reference there, you can actually, get the paper, it's Business Today, it's a magazine actually. The title is Paper Lamps. And I've taken 2 quotes. One is from a very well-known marketing professor. He was at that point in time in London Business School. Today he is in Singapore, Singapore Management University. He had actually come here once. Professor Nirmala Kumar. Actually, he was part of the Tata Sons board when Cyrus Mistry was in charge. So he was actually part of the Tata Sons board. So I just picked up 2 quotes from that article. The first one is from Professor Nirmala Kumar, where he's saying that, India is a very, very large country. The output is very poor. And that's a typical of most non-resident Indians who would say that, you're such a large country, you don't produce any research. Well, it's like saying that, we are such a large country, we don't produce Olympic gold medals in what's called blue chip event. I mean, we produce gold medals in wrestling, but wrestling is not the most popular event in Olympics. What's popular is things like 100-meter sprint, 800 meters, this thing, swimming and so on, gymnastics. So we don't produce medals there. So it's, simply saying that, we don't produce enough papers is what he's saying. And he's saying the blame is on the business school themselves because they are actually doing primarily teaching. I will refute this point subsequently. Then, of course, in the same article, and this is again very typical of heads of Indian institutions, they're always complaining that, we are understaffed. Okay, we are understaffed. So you can see this is Professor, if you go to the article, you'll find who that director is. I leave it to you. I won't mention his name here, but he's saying that this was in 2012. We have 95 professors instead of 120. Actually, today they still have about 105. The point is that number is irrelevant. Number is irrelevant. So one is trying to put a blame that we are not good enough to publish papers. The other is trying to justify why we don't publish enough papers. So two sides, very different. And I will tell you what could be a possible reason why our output is relatively low. So the question is research necessary in a business school? I mean, in the end, who cares about research? I mean, let's ask the question. We are talking about business school, by the way, not engineering school, not IITs, not IISCs, not the NITs. What I did was I wanted to figure out what fraction of B schools in the US and Europe do high quality research. And if I were to look at the top, there's something called UT Dallas journal list. Are you aware of it? There's a FT50. FT has a longer list, but there's a UT Dallas journal list. If you want to do a search, you'll find that. It's a far tougher list than FT50. In fact, top schools in the world don't follow FT50. They actually follow UT Dallas list. So in the top 50, and this I checked a few days back while I was preparing the slides, in the top 50, how many schools do you think are there from Europe in top 50? Worldwide. Sorry?
Europe, 10 institute.
10, okay. And Asia?
Asia, maybe.
Asia, maybe around 15.
China. Yeah.
No, we're talking of top 50, 50.
I think there's none.
None?
Yeah,
So,
China will be the China, Singapore. Yeah.
So give a number, just guess a number.
Five.
Okay, 10 from Europe, 5 from this thing. That's 15, and I presume the remaining 35 might be from North America, Canada, and US perhaps. So if you go to the UT Dallas journal list and you do this thing, what you will find is there is indeed 5 in Asia. Not from China, but Hong Kong is part of China, but Hong Kong has a very it has different structure. So 5 in Asia, 4 in Europe, in the top 50. The remaining 41 is based in US and maybe 1 or 2 in Canada. That's it. Okay. Now, why am I showing this? Let's look at Asia. 3 in Hong Kong, 2 in Singapore. Hong Kong's per capita income is 25 times that of India. 25 times per capita income, not PPP, per capita income. Singapore is 30 times or so per capita income. And the 2 in Singapore, the 2 universities in Singapore, one is NUS, other is SMU. So Professor Nirmala Kumar, whom I quoted earlier, is currently in SMU. So he left London. He left London and went to Singapore. So he left a top business school, London Business School, and in Singapore Management University. SMU is some place where globally very few people will go and study. I mean, if I have the money and if I have the talent, I would rather go to London Business School than SMU. Why do you think you would have gone to SMU, Professor Kumar? What could be, I mean, I don't know the exact reason, but I can only guess.
Incentives, you'll get more there, publication incentives.
Well, more than, but you will get, so places like NUS, places like SMUs, and in the Hong Kong, you have three, one of them is Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, which is, a very good university. These people pay more than what Europeans and American business school, top schools would pay. They pay many times. So why should I go to a very hot city like Singapore? Weather is horrible, but why would I go there? Why would I leave London and go to Singapore? Why would I leave a place like, let's say, if like in California and go to Singapore, where the weather is horrible? And the reason is they pay a huge amount. So you'll find a lot of these, not many of the faculty members in places in Hong Kong, the 3 universities in Hong Kong that you see, and 2 in Singapore, many of them are actually, they are not from Singapore. They are actually, they are typically would be Americans or Europeans and of people of Indian origins who are there. And they pay a huge amount. So A, the salary is huge. B, the kind of research grant they will get will be nothing compared to what someone from IIM Bangalore, which is very, very actually, I would say, generous in terms of research support. So now, and there are 4 in Europe, just 4 in Europe, of which we have London Business School and INSEAD, 2 of the 4 are these 2. So the question is this, you need huge amount of money to conduct research. And if I were to ask you now, if you look at some of the biggest private companies in India, what would be the research R&D budget in terms of percentage of sales?
Maybe
Sorry?
5 or below 5%.
Well, 5% is a huge number. One of the largest companies, I won't mention the name again, the largest private company in terms of market cap, okay, they hardly spend anything. It's close to 0. You do not see any, I mean, you just think about which Indian products are available globally, Indian design, Indian, something which others cannot do. You won't find any. So the point is this, you need huge amount of funding, massive amount of funding, whether to conduct research in a university environment or to conduct research in a corporate environment. So we lack that. We don't have that money. And so just keep this in mind. So, in a sense, it's very easy for people to say that, you guys don't conduct research, you have to do, I mean, so people in India are always saying that the minister is always talking about it without understanding what is required to do high quality research. I can always publish papers in some journal, but can I publish papers in a top journal is the question. So the question which, so let me ask therefore, 3 questions from 3 important stakeholders. One is the primary stakeholder, which is the faculty. Why should the faculty do research? I mean, it's far more easier, to go and teach in a class based on lecture notes I may have prepared 5 years back. And, I would enjoy the interaction with students. They could be executive participants, they could be undergrad, they could be, MBA students, and just go there and, teach. Why should I, if I'm a faculty, why should I do research? What's the point?
So mainly for promotion, career, and institute also wanted ranking and.
So if promotion means, so if the institute says, one of the primary incentive for me to do research, conduct research is, or publish papers is, I have to get my promotion. Once I'm full professor, anywhere in the world, even in the US, they do fewer and fewer research once they become tenured. So the most important reason why one would do research is basically to get the promotion. If you have done your research, if you're a decent teacher, life is set in a business school. So for me, that promotion is very important as a faculty. If I don't get the promotion, I would obviously become depressed, and there'll be issues and so on. So that's one of the primary incentives. There are other incentives also. For example, I get recognized by my peers outside the institute. So say someone from US, if he or she were to call up this particular person who's conducting good research in India, it's an honor. It's an honor. So those are, I would say, the secondary effects. But the primary reason is I might have to do it because of it's required for promotion. So if it's not required for promotion, then you will find research not happening. So obviously it is promotion that is leading to an individual faculty doing research. Now therefore the question is, why does the institute care? The top management, okay, the deans and directors, why should they care about research publication? Because the faculty will not conduct research unless there is something in it for him or her, which as I think Ganesh said, is promotion. So the question is, why should the institute care about promotion? Oh, sorry, why should the institute care about research?
Recognition, Professor, recognition to the institutions in the global arena.
Well, recognition, yes.
And also to, showcase the faculty's intellectual, the skills.
Mm-hmm.
In that way, so that indirectly it will benefit the students who are going to join the B schools also.
That's a third point, I think, leading to. So you're saying international recognition that this particular school is doing good research. You get obviously, that becomes an important point, then that is one. Showcase of faculty work, and what else could be there?
One other thing would be that if I get the faculties publishing in this kind of research, and we can attract better faculty, which might give me more kind of publication, which
right
adds recognition to that.
So you attract actually other faculty members as well. So if who has incentive to do research, moment I see that there are a set of people here who are doing good research, so let me go and join that institution versus joining some other place where you may not get that ecosystem. So you attract potential new faculty, new candidates for as future faculty members. So that is there. Any other point?
And adding to that, Professor, whenever organizations are going for any accreditations or any such mandatory requirements, even then, institute need to have these research publications.
Right. So that is also true. They need to have research publication for these accreditation program that is there. And I will add one more point to it. Today we have this something called NIRF ranking. And of course, I find it rather ridiculous the way it is done. Last year, again, I will not mention the institute. You guys can go and check it up. It's a place where we never even heard of any paper. They are publishing, but the problem with the government of India when they do all this kind of ranking. For us, we have a set of journals where the top schools in the world have to publish. Now, it basically means our institute is telling us, do not waste your time publishing in other journals, because you won't get your, you'll be fired actually. We have a tenure system now. So people can actually get fired. So the point is this, the government of India has this ranking mechanism, and right or wrong, in my view, the the way they actually measure research ranking is actually very, very poor. So it's not Ahmedabad or Bangalore or Calcutta, which is some other business school. And essentially they're publishing in what I would call really unknown journals. But that's how Government of India is actually measuring research. But there's a problem now. Now what's going to happen is the Government of India, if you are especially if you are a government institution, and I presume IIPM is one, it's a government institution. You might be autonomous. Is this? There's a lot of pressure from the ministry to say to ask the question, how is your research performance? And obviously, the head of the institution has to answer. He can't say that I don't believe in research. So I asked my colleague, who was a former director of a new IIM, who just came back a couple of months back. Ganesh knows him, so he basically left 2 months back. And I asked him, why do you care about research? He hasn't published any papers though. He says, research is good, research, we have to do research. I said, why? Who cares? Actually, he didn't have an answer. Why you should be doing research at the institute level. Because if you look at the third point, do MBA students care whether you do research or not? Why do MBA students join a particular business school? Employment, placement. There's nothing else but placement. They don't really care about whether you are the best. They want you to be a good teacher. They want to, they want to learn something. But at the end of the day, they want to ensure that they get good placement. They don't care about, okay. NIRF ranking matters, no doubt, in students making that choice of which business school to join when they have to, okay. Like the FT50, we care about the FT50, not FT50, that's it, the FT ranking. We care about that. And one of the measure is research output. So we care about it. But in my view, by and large, India is such a vast country, whether I do research or not, people will still join. But for director, of course, he or she can say in public forum that, we are the top. So whenever we do very well, it's there on a web page. So obviously, it's a matter of pride, but we still don't know to what extent research is actually necessary for business school, because so it's easy for the top management to say you do research or else you won't get a promotion. But you'll see that there is something called trade-offs, which I will come to. So at the moment, I've not answered the question, is research necessary for business school? And the point is, how much is the institute willing to invest on research? So I cannot do research if I have to teach 5 courses in a year. I cannot do research. So let me tell you about when a new faculty joins in IIM Bangalore, new faculty, young faculty at the assistant professor level. He or she gets an additional, we get paid as per Government of India norms, just like anyone else. We have the basic salaries based on, government rules. Over and above that, for an assistant professor only, not for me, for an assistant professor only, he or she gets 6 lakhs additional salary, 6 lakhs every year for, I guess, 3 years or 4 years, I forget, minimum 3 years. That says 3 years. It's minimum 3 years. So that's 18 lakhs over 3 years. You are getting additional salary not covered in the Government of India rules. 18 lakhs.
For what purpose, Professor? Additional salary?
So they get 6 lakhs per year for 3 years. The reason is they're telling them, please do not worry about money. Don't have to go and teach in executive education. You do research. So we are losing 6 lakhs. It's out of pocket expense for the institute. Point number 1. Point number 2, they get 3 lakhs every year for 3 years. 3 lakhs as research, what I call grant. That is 9 lakhs. So that 18 lakhs goes into the bank account. This 9 lakhs goes into the research account, research where they can, hire RAs, they can go for conferences. They can still go for conferences additionally, but that 9 lakhs they get. Okay, so you got 18 lakhs plus 9 lakhs. Now for the first 4 years, they teach only 2 courses per year. 2 courses. I have to teach 3 to 4 courses. We're teaching half. So my workload, teaching workload, is double theirs. Double. Now you can do. You can monetize that 2 courses. They have to do less. I have to take 4 courses. They have to do 2 courses. So 2 courses. Well, we have a way of monetizing it. I won't mention it, but now you can imagine. You can now imagine, this is, everyone gets it. In addition to that, someone wants to go, it's allowed once. Suppose the person has done a PhD from US and wants to spend 3 months with his advisor, with his or her advisor in the US. We provide the person, I was an RNP chair till last year, I forget the exact amount. It's probably 2 lakhs or so, 2 or 3 lakhs, I forget, 2 lakhs or so. Or maybe 3 lakhs, I don't recall, which is airfare. You can stay there for about a month, 2 months. And by and large, it is practically anyone who asks for, not for me, for the young faculty. They can go there and spend time. They typically spend 1 month. So food and everything is covered in that 3 lakhs, 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs. I don't know the exact amount. So how many institutes can actually afford to spend so much? Why are we doing it? We are doing it so that eventually he or she is able to publish in the top journals. And if you do not publish, you're asked to leave. And in this place, IIM Bangalore is very, very risky place to be in for a young faculty. Everybody wants to come here because of Bangalore, the city Bangalore, because of what we give. Okay, but at the end of the year, at the end of the day, it's a very risky proposition because there are few faculties who are actually, after 6 years, they're going to, not after 6, after 3 years, they look at the performance. And if it's not good enough, they are asked to leave immediately. They're given 6 months. In some cases, they might say, okay, fine, you get another 3 years. So 3 plus 3 is called, the contract is called 3 plus 3. So after 6 years, if you don't meet the requirement, which is very difficult to meet, by the way, most people are having a very, very difficult time, have to leave. But the point is not the fact that they have to leave. I mean, anyone can make such a rule, but amount of money we spend. So to get that research output, that's what is required. You can't do research for free. The institute has to spend a huge amount of money. Okay, so, and the kind of money that the budget for research at IIM Bangalore, I'm not counting FPM or a PhD budget for PhD, because that's also research, but that's and that amount would be quite large as well. But just for a faculty research, now that includes people like me also, people who are not in the fresh assistant professors, but people like me as well. Okay, it's in crores. It's in crores. So for my research output last year, I would have got 50% of my salary as research bonus. 50% of my government salary I get as research bonus last year. So it's based on output. The output in specific journals. Okay, I'm just giving my example because I know my amount. So there are others who might. So it's okay. Not. I mean, we typically might have about 15% of faculty members getting a big amount. The rest hardly get anything. 15 maximum 20%. But what I'm saying is the institute is willing to spend. If I have to go now, I'm not a young faculty. I'm not a, but I have enough research support today because I mean, I was lucky to get some papers out in certain journals. If I have to buy the most expensive laptop, I don't have to worry. I can just go and order from Amazon and give the bill, and I'll get paid. If I have to buy an iPad, I can just do it. If I have today, I won't travel, but if I have to go to the US to meet someone for 10 days for research purpose, I have that money. This is not conference funding, which all of us get. I'm talking about if you are doing research, we get that kind of a funding. I don't have to beg for money. And so, and this is given to people who are publishing at the top level. So, so these are money which is not in the bank account. These are money which is there in the research budget, in my research account. And I can basically, use that. So many people would go for multiple conferences. We can't go for conferences anymore. But if I have, so we don't have to worry about money. That's the point I'm making. So the question is, if you want to reach that high quality research level, how much is the institute willing to spend? If the institute is not willing to spend, all I can say is it's practically impossible to get there. Do you have any questions?
Sir, this is Sudha here.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yeah,
So when you say top journal, I am expected to publish in top journal, you said, no, sir?
Yes.
So it's like, so that means you don't have this ABDC
No.
categories there, only Dallas and ABS, is it? Like? No.
Okay, we have our own list and we don't go by the ABDC list. ABDC list is not counted. By and large, ABDC list is quite easy to achieve. I mean, if you look, so our list is far more difficult. The Dallas list that you're referring to would be considered what is called A category in our list. The Dallas list.
ABDC A is equivalent to Dallas. Something. It's like that, is it?
No. ABDC has many journals which are A star. So those they are not in our list. They are not. I mean, they are okay. The UT Dallas list, you can go there and check UT Dallas list, and the FT Financial Times FT50 list.
FT50.
Okay, so these are, because there are FT50 journals which is considered. I mean, we have something called A1 and then A2 and then B1 and B2. So not all FT50 is A1, by the way. So you can see how difficult it is. Okay, so we have a set of lists, and for compensation, so research compensation is even tougher. It's even tougher. So, so our list is.
So they are all unpaid journals, right? Like.
Of course, yeah.
And
processing fees will be there. There are some of the journals are.
Yeah, those are very top journals. They are the where MIT and some, but these are not these fake journals where you pay money and get it. No, nothing of that sort.
The article review processing charges, sir.
Some very
APC
few journals,
they call it.
Some very few journals take it. These are mostly finance and economics area. But those are but these are not those, so like last year, for which I got compensated, it's a FT50 journal, 2019. It's a FT15. It took us 5 years to publish. 5 years. That's the kind of time you undergo. The 5 years means you have seen rejections and so on. But in the end, it's very, very frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. And and fortunately for me, I don't have to worry. But for younger colleagues, it can be killing because if they can't wait 5 years.
Is it necessary for an young faculty to be in the first author position?
We don't care. We don't care which position you are in. In our institute, we don't care for promotion. You can be the first author, you can be the last author. We don't really care. You can have one from an incentive perspective. We get research incentives for their position doesn't matter, but number of authors matter. So
it gets divided, is it basically?
We have this thing. I mean, I'll give an example. If I am a single author paper in an FT50 journal, not FT50, UT Dallas journal, what's called A category, I would get 18 lakhs.
Oh my.
Okay. If I have 2 authors, I'll get 12 lakhs in an A category, not only in A category.
Okay. As a first author, you get 12 lakhs, is it?
No. As a first author, second author doesn't matter. So last
12
year,
lakhs each. So 24 lakhs total.
Yeah. So what has happened is last year, I have a publication who's now my colleague here, but earlier last year he was not my colleague. He was in different university. He's now a colleague here. He's joined in January. So last year, that's a FT50 and a UT Dallas journal. I got paid 12 lakhs. If he was also here, suppose he was not there, but suppose he was here last year, he too would have got 12 lakhs. So,
okay.
So instead,
So it's mutually exclusive. Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah. There's a formula by which, so they look at it. So it doesn't matter. So I'm the second author. He's the first author. Okay. So, but what matters is number of authors.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I made a, that one is 2. Yeah, that is 2. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, and I've not made a mistake there. So yeah, so that's what we are, that's a kind of amount that we actually pay out. It's, now the question is, will too much activity, so there's a trade-off between teaching and research. The question is, what we said earlier, MBA student, doesn't care really. I mean, my MBA students, in fact, that I published, they don't care. They don't care. I mean, they are more interested in how well I teach. If there's someone who doesn't do research, but is a much better teacher than I am, they will prefer that person. So in a sense, and they are a very, very important stakeholder. The institute is able to pay me 12 lakhs because of the tuition fee. The money is coming from their tuition fee.
Okay.
It's not coming from some, what I would call endowment from corporate. It's actually coming from, so it's a very, I would say, in my view, this is, I won't like, if I were a director, I would say we don't want to stop all this. Okay, making research incentive payment from the tuition fees. Okay, so now the question is, if I spend a lot of,
a category for like a research faculty or teaching faculty like that in IIMB?
No. We don't have a category. We have something called, we just started, and there are very few, these are called professor of practice, but at the time of joining, and for professor of practice, not easy. I mean, you should have had industry experience and so on, but it's a contract. It is a contract for all faculty, regular faculty, full-time regular faculty. Okay, professor of practice also full-time, but it's contract. After 3 years, the contract will be renewed. So these are people who should be very good teachers, should have worked in the industry, preferably has a PhD, preferably. But that's a different. But we don't have, like in US Business School, they have what's called a teaching track.
Yes.
By the way, in our case, once you're an associate professor, from associate to full professor, you can get your promotion without doing any research. That's allowed. It's assistant to associate. If you do research, it becomes faster. Promotion becomes faster. But to survive here, you have to do research. That is, survive in the first as assistant professor. For that, you have to. It's very, very tough. I mean, it's extremely tough.
Yeah, without involving students, doing research is little difficult, no, sir?
Sorry, can you repeat?
Without involving students. Basically, am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, without involving students in research, it is very difficult to write a paper or do research by faculty, right? So
Yes.
how can we manage, doing regular activities, teaching, and these things along with research? Will it be possible?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's my question. Is there a trade-off? So if I have to teach too many courses, or let me put it this way, I'll put it this way. It has happened to me on many occasions. I'm very busy with some paper that for which I have to do for which I have to do a lot of these revision. Papers come back, and I'm teaching. So what might happen is there are times, and I've done it myself, I do not devote so much time as I should have devoted on teaching. Because for me, because I'm not worried about, if students give me a bad feedback, who cares? So in a sense, well, of course I care, but I mean, so in a sense, you see, if I have to do research and I have to do teaching, in the end, that every 1 hour additional, where will you spend? Will you spend it on research? Will you spend it on teaching? And that I believe that trade-off is there. In top schools in the US, top schools in the US, of course you have to teach in a business school, but they have to teach far less compared to compared to what you have to teach in a teaching school. In fact, just for your information, I didn't mention this. When I asked the question, how many schools are there in the top 50 from Asia and Europe? Vast majority of American business schools are teaching institutions, by the way. They are not research. They are not research. They're actually teaching institutions. Okay, so don't think that American schools are all. We know of MIT, Stanford, Kellogg, Wharton. These are all top research schools. But majority of the schools in the US are teaching schools. You must remember that. They are not research schools. More than 50%, 60% of the accredited schools are actually teaching schools. For them, research is not important. So the point is, you have to understand there is a trade-off. You can't just do research for free. You can't do research, by teaching a lot. It's going to have a problem. Faculty members have finite amount of time. They also have a family. So in a sense, it's not, it's very easy to say, go and do research. I mean, and the next question is, how long does it take to become a top research institute? So I believe, and this is based on a certain type of facts. IIM Bangalore is probably having, and Ahmedabad also is very good. In terms of research output, we are actually there in the top 2. ISB is also there, but ISB has a different model. They actually have what is called faculty members with joint affiliation. But if we don't have that, so that to me, it may not be a good comparison. But if I were to look at Indian institutions, now IIM Bangalore and IIM Ahmedabad, in terms of pure research, will not be there, it's not there in the top 100. In the UT Dallas, if you go and check UT Dallas, we're not there. I checked in the last 3 years, the last 2017 to 2020, IIM Bangalore, I've forgotten the number, I should have written it down. IIM Bangalore is number 1 in India. I'm leaving out ISB. I'm number 1 with about 15 or 14 publications. Next is Ahmedabad at 11 or 12. So just imagine, after all this, so much money that we get, we are publishing only 15 in the last 3 years. That's all. Okay. Can we become in the top 100? We're not in the top 100, by the way. We're nowhere close to top 100. We are probably between 150 and 200. Not even top. Okay. And that's true for IITs also, by the way.
in spite of all these kind of support and less
Yeah.
teaching workload and
Exactly.
benefits, fringe benefits and all.
Exactly. So, and how long does it take to become an MIT and Stanford? MIT and Stanford took hundreds of years. It's a very, very old, Oxford and all, very old, okay? The Asian schools, Hong Kong and Singapore, in one generation, like when I was a student, that was about 30 years back doing my PhD, these are relatively unknown schools in Asia, Hong Kong, and today they're amongst the top in terms of, so they're able to buy, I would call them, buy top researchers from across the world because they can pay huge amount of salary. Okay, so the question is, to be a top business school, first and foremost, you should have money. So I will just end with this, then I'll show you one research topic. So my suggestion is, do not try to mimic B schools with deep pockets. If you don't have money, there's no point trying to compete on research. Instead, try to do something very different. And so instead of trying to publish papers, what one should do, and let me just take IIPM as an example. You are into what is called plantation food. The future, by the way, the last 70 years from 1950s onwards, it was the age of electronics. Massive amount of innovation has happened. The next 50 years, it will be in biotech, understanding human body, human mind, and that's one part of it, biotech. The second is again, it's based on biotech, but in the food industry. Production of food creates a massive amount of global pollution. I am a non-vegetarian, I eat meat. Consuming meat is a very, very costly affair, and it also increases global warming.
Yeah. The carbon footprint is high. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Carbon footprint for chicken, and in the West, beef, lamb, and so on. So the point is this: the future, one of the main industry that will, and you have a lot of these startups happening. There are companies that are coming up, actually they're producing meat in the lab. There are companies that are coming up with substitute for meat. The future is food. So place like IIPM should not be trying to mimic other schools. You make yourself, you differentiate yourself, so that we will be doing a lot of work. We are not going to get into things like what is the electronics industry all about. No, we are going to get into food industry. Production of food, how do you reduce wastage in food, the supply chain of food, and so on. The food, because that's going to be the major change that will happen, and that's already happening for the next 50 years. We're talking about 50 years, we're not talking about 5 years, 50 years. So my daughter, who is about 14 years old, by the time she becomes 30, 40, she might be eating a very different kind of, or she'll be consuming a very different kind of diet. So that you don't have to cut trees. So one possible way for a place like IIPM is look at the food industry. You publish papers, fine, but maybe you should be figuring out or writing reports and writing cases, and so that in the future, if I have to say, if I want to know something about the food industry, where do I go? The word IIPM should come to my mind. So that's what, so that becomes you're not trying to copy others, you are trying to be different from others. Because, I mean, most business schools do not have the luxury of what I would call the deep pockets. So that's something which, you can actually look at. I will end with, because today evening, I have a presentation to the entire campus, to faculty body and PhD students. So if you have any questions, I can take it, or maybe I can very quickly, I'll just take 2-3 minutes. So this was a paper that got accepted this year in a UT Dallas list or FT50 journal list, this particular paper. And I'll just, I'll skip all this. So this is basically, I'll skip all this. Okay. Oh, this is a paper which my colleague and I have seen, where we are asking how do you manage illegal content on social platforms. So you see this movie called Enemy of the State. The first one is legal, where you pay money. The second one is illegal copy on YouTube. So, so the point is, very quickly, because running short of time, this is the advertisement happening here, is that in the US, it is the responsibility of the content developer, copyright holder, to point it out to the platform meaning YouTube, for example, or Google, that there is illegal content, you have to remove it. In Europe, it's the other way around. The responsibility lies with the platform. What we are trying to answer in this question is which one of these, or the third point where you have collaboration between a content development platform, which one of these three makes sense? Okay, which one? So this is something which I have actually, I mean, this paper got accepted recently in 2020. And so we have, so I'm going to be presenting this paper today to my colleagues in the evening. So, and how did I get the idea? Well, we got the idea by actually, by looking at these. When you saw the, in the US, it's one rule. In Europe, it's a very different rule. Then we asked the question, which one makes sense? Two different set of countries having two different rules, which makes sense. And that's what we have worked on. So I will stop here because of the time issue. I will take questions if you have any.
Sir, as you pointed out, we should actually develop case studies in the food industry, etc. So do you have certain specific journals in this FT50 and Dallas who can even accept case studies type of papers instead of that rigorous analysis, econometric modeling and things like that?
I think I'm using the word think. So because I know about my area alone.
Okay.
It is,
so we need to explore then.
Yeah, but I doubt whether it is there. But I won't worry about it. Why should you care about? Why should you? I mean, yes, it is. It is an issue that just because the world is saying publish in these journals doesn't mean that you have to publish. You have to make a difference. You have to ensure that you get, what I call. I mean, in the end, you have to survive as an institute. So you want to attract good students. You want to ensure that people are willing to pay to get that education from IIPM. And moment someone knows that if I go to IIPM and get an MBA, I can get a job in food processing industry like Nestle, like ITC. Okay, and then what happens is you will have the sense of satisfaction. At the same time, you're also making a difference. So when the government of India is thinking about food processing industry, where should they go to? They should go to IIPM. And you have that, what I call the legacy. So, so instead of trying, so my point is try to be different. I won't worry about publishing in a set of journals. You can publish in other journals if required, but your objectives are very different. You should not, get, if IIM Bangalore is doing it, you don't have to do it. That's the point.
Okay. So that's why ABDC, we have certain journals which are specifically agribusiness and food related. But yeah, but I do not know.
And there are journals which takes case studies. They are not FT50. That's one. Incidentally, I forgot to mention, there are top business schools, one of the two or three, not many though, top business schools, MBA schools, which don't have a PhD program. That is one of them, Dartmouth. So what I'm saying is they have decided that, no, we don't want to get into all this. There are people write good cases.
Teaching cases. Okay.
Yeah, teaching cases, teaching cases.
One thing that I wanted to ask was, you talked of this novelty, currency, relevance, and rigorous. See, and if we typically look at the FT50, is there certain weightage that they give to each of these parameters, or
No.
nothing like
It's
that?
all, these are things which I just, so I'll just give an example, this particular paper which I just got published in the FT50 journal and UT Dallas, okay. Why is it relevant? Because if you see that EU, the second point, so second bullet point, this came out in 2019, this law. This paper got written, not published. It got published this year, accepted this year. So it's current. It's policymakers, regulators trying to figure out which is better. The number one, which is US, which is very different, just opposite of the EU. So which one of them makes sense? So in a sense, our model, by the way, the way of modeling was very simple. This paper, I have papers which are far more mathematically rigorous. So, but because it's current, it's of interest, probably, I can't read the mind of the reviewers. Probably that's the reason why they accepted it, even though we got a very simple model of answering that question. There are assumptions in the model. Okay, you can question those assumptions, but because of the currents and it's because of the current interest relevancies, they overlooked the simplicity of the model.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, most of our management theories and concepts are coming from research only, sir. Whatever we are teaching to the student, some of the concept models in operation research, operation management, supply chain, all these things coming from research, right, sir? Mostly it's coming from the research work.
Okay. The other thing, I had a colleague who unfortunately passed away a few years back. He retired, and within 1 year he passed away. He used to ask me. He used to ask me, bulk of what we teach, you have to ask the question, is the practitioners, are they actually coming to us and trying to figure out, tell us the latest buzzword or the latest theory? They are not. So what you are saying, these concepts that we teach, they're coming from business. Some of it is, but not entirely. You must remember one thing. Business school is not the same thing like School of Science and Technology, School of Engineering. We are into what's called professional education. Students come here to get a job. They're not coming here for learning or getting into higher studies. Very few do, but they're coming here to get a good job. It's like chartered accountancy. People go for CA for what reason? You want to actually go and become a tax expert or financial expert, accounting expert. MBA is just like that. To gain respectability, this is important. To gain respectability, they started doing research. That's why I said the main stakeholder, the guys who are paying fees so that you and I get paid, they don't care what you do.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So any questions from my colleagues?
Professor, taking from what you said finally, I am tempted to ask this question. Are these publications in FT50 and all, are they really taken seriously by the business firms, global business firms, for doing anything in their practice?
Very, okay. In India, definitely they don't care. Okay, I can't speak for what happens in Europe, for example, but India, nobody cares. India, what they care is how well is your student trained. Are they actually employable? Can they analyze business problems? They don't care. That's precisely my point. We are doing it because, and if I ask any IIM director, they will say, oh, no, research is very, very important. They'll all say that. They can't afford to say, they cannot afford to say research is not important because that is politically incorrect to say. But then you ask that question, just look at it logically. I exist because of my MBA students, because we don't get one paisa from the government. I exist because of the MBA students. They pay tuition fee, because of which I get my salary. I get everything that I have, that I get from the institute. It's because of the MBA student. Now, the MBA student doesn't care what research I've conducted. And that's why I mentioned that earlier also. I said, this MBA student don't care. The head of the institution cares because he or she, the directors and the deans, have to go in a public forum and they can't say, I don't believe in research. If you say that today, they'll say that you're crazy. So what I'm saying is, that's not crazy. That's actually, I can challenge any directors of IIMs. Most of them have not done research anyway, most of them. So the point is, we have survived for so long. It affects your FT ranking, for example. I can buy that argument, and therefore it can have a negative impact if you don't do research. So in a sense, at the admissions time, when students are looking at, especially one-year executive MBA, it matters. The research matters. Okay, they're just looking at a signal. The signal, yeah, these guys are doing good research, and the ranking goes up, and therefore they are more likely to join us. But once they're in, it doesn't matter. So when they're out, it matters. When they're trying to figure out which, should I join Ahmedabad, should I join Bangalore, should I join Calcutta, it matters there. But once they're inside, it doesn't matter whether I do research or not. So my director, whatever I've said, he will not agree with me. Whatever I've said. So I'm giving if you go to our webpage today, just now, you'll see that, my photograph is there. I'm going to he asked me to give a seminar. Because I'm the chair of Airbus chair. And the point is, for me, it's a waste of time. Because why is it a waste of time? I have some backlog of work for my teaching. And by the way, the reason is 5 o'clock is because I had promised this 2:30 to. So, so if you just see the IIMB webpage, you'll see my photograph there and say that today at 5 p.m. that I have a talk. So the MBAs will not go to attend my talk. MBA students will not attend my talk. They have better things to do. So that's precisely the point I'm trying to make. Any other point?
Any other? Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. May I request Professor Ganesh Kumar, formal vote of thanks.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, on behalf of our director and our faculty team, we sincerely thank you for your time, sir, for accepting our invitation and sharing your valuable knowledge on different aspects of research. So what are the things they look for the journal with 4 different heading. And one thing I've taken from this webinar is research cannot be free. We need a lot of investment on research, and we have to focus based on our requirement, based on our institute requirement. Accordingly, you have to fine tune between research and other area, teaching and other area. So thank you so much, sir. Once again, thank you for your time. Looking for a similar kind of interaction in future also, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of all faculty and director, thank you very much. Thank you.
Right. Okay.
We'll be.
Goodbye. Yeah.
Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.
So, thank you, Professor.
I'm leaving it. Yeah, just to say.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.